All right, good afternoon. I'm Ben Strong. I'm a Director of Product at Roku. And today I want to introduce you to our publishing and content discovery on the Roku platform. We're going to go through a little bit of an overview of Roku. I want to give you some of the options about how one can publish their content to Roku and some of our key capabilities that really make Roku the platform of choice for streaming. This is really a phenomenal time in the world of of content consumption, right? The users have so many options now of methods of getting their content. There's so much more content being able to come in through different avenues, and Roku is right in the middle of it. We have built we have a purpose-built platform that is wholly focused on video streaming, and really our goal is to power all TVs. A little background, I think a lot of people are very familiar with our streaming players. That's what we started with. That ranges from a $40 Roku Express to a $100 Roku Ultra. They all have different capabilities. And what we really do is we want to make sure that we're addressing the needs across the market. Right? We have, while we live in a bubble here with high bandwidth and modern TVs, a lot of the market does not. They have older TVs that may not even have HDMI. They may have lower bandwidth or bandwidth constraints. And so it's really important that we offer a broad range of products that can onboard users and get them get them streaming. So something like the Roku Express actually has component ins, right? It's like the RCA jacks. It's not even an HDMI, and that really helps these users get introduced onto the platform. And then newer are our TVs. I think we launched our first TV in 2014 or early 2015. We now have 7 brands, the likes of RCA, Sharp, Elemental, TCL, that now we've gone from 0% market share to the first half of this year, estimated about 1 in 5 smart TVs have the Roku OS built into them. So we're really taking off their high-quality TVs, ranging from a very simple 24-inch HD TV all the way up to a 4K HDR 75-inch from TCL, which is really quite beautiful. I've seen it, and it's recently released. And then we also have relationships with service operators internationally. So the likes of Telstra in Australia, PLDT in the Philippines, Econet in South Africa, I should say, Sky in the UK, Germany, Australia. And we just recently with Sky released a new product that is a hybrid of both OTT streaming, but also with over-the-air antenna capabilities, so we can merge those experiences in for those users. In terms of usership, our platform is really booming. We have over 15 million accounts, active accounts. That means that 15 million monthly users have accessed or streamed Roku in the last 30 days. All right, and then over 1 billion streamed hours per month across our platforms. This 7 billion was the first half of the year, and we continue to grow. We are in 23 countries, and we are the #1 streaming platform. You'll see this against our competition. Big names that do a lot of things and have huge brands, yet Roku, with our purpose-built platform for video streaming, is really leading the way and continues to lead the way and continues to grow at a remarkable pace. So wrapping this section up, I want to talk about Roku it is a really good platform for the content creators and a great platform for our users because we are content neutral. We're not selling or trying to compete with our partners. We're trying to bring content partners on, and give users access to that and give them options of how they want to watch TV, how they want to buy TV, or how they want to consume TV through ad-supported models. And then, like I said, we're wholly focused on streaming. That's what we do. We're not building other devices. We're focused around TV, and we're focused around streaming TV. And we are unbiased. So, for instance, in our search, we may have many partners that carry the same content, but we're going to make sure that nobody's getting an upper hand on anybody else. We're gonna randomly order the providers. If you already have a subscription, then we're going to make sure that that's very present, and we understand that you have access to that. And so we're going to give you an easy path in, but we want to make sure that we are unbiased and we're not playing favorites on the platform. So with that, I want to talk now into how the methods of which you can bring your content on to the platform, and methods of monetization, which is a very important component of that. So as we know, the landscape is dramatically changing. Users have more choice than ever. Users can pick and choose how they want to access content, what they want to pay for, what kind of content they want. So, as we have some very well-known players like Netflix and Hulu and such that, they've never been on traditional TV. They're creating original programming, and they are reaching users through OTT. And they are big components, and the Roku platform streams a lot of the hours for these guys. There are others that have traditionally been on TV and now bringing in. They're trying to find a new arena to reach their audience, and so they're going to have a TVE experience, or maybe solely one person may choose to view them on linear TV, and the other may choose to view on OTT. And so there's a whole set of publishers that are onboarded that way. And then you have the virtual MVPDs, right, where they may have, some have a traditional cable experience like Xfinity, and they're bringing an OTT version on to the Roku platform, and others have never had they're bringing that traditional cable experience just on OTT for streaming on the Roku platform. And then you have new guys that they've never been anywhere else. They're digital native. The only place that you're going to find their content is streaming, and that is just the amount of content in that front is just absolutely blowing up, and really resulting in great choice for our users. So a couple months ago, we started rolling out our newest version of the Roku OS, which is Roku OS 8. Really has a lot of great features. So one is private listening. So we've had private listening in the past, and this is where you have your Roku remote, you put a pair of headphones in, it's going to bypass the TV speakers, and you're going to be able to listen to the content coming through your TV into your headphones. This is great for nighttime use, or when you don't want to disturb somebody. And now we've also added in the capability to do that, not just through the streaming content, but through over-the-air content as well. We've really embraced this new phenomenal technology called over-the-air, like antenna-based acquisition of content. This is something that I think, with cable, people had long forgotten about, or largely forgotten about, and now it's really making a resurgence, right? When people are cutting the cord, they have the ability now with a very affordable HD antenna, often just inside their house, they can acquire linear programming from all the big networks and others locally. And so, like I said, Roku has really embraced this, and it's key for us to really support this. And so with this latest OS release, we've created, what you see here is our Smart Guide, which is a really nice representation of the over-the-air channels that are available to you. We're able to search, we're downloading the data based on your locale, so you can also search for that content. And then we're merging that with what we call more ways to watch. So as I'm looking at this Smart Guide, and we recognize that a given piece of programming has a corollary on the Roku device through a publisher, we'll flag that, and with an options key, a user can jump in. Maybe it's more episodes, other episodes, past episodes, whatever it might be, just another option where they can go in, add that, set a notification, whatever they want to do to make sure that they understand that that is also available for streaming. And then voice control, we're building our capabilities on voice control. What's great is, it's a heck of a lot easier to search for a piece of content by voice, saying, play Game of Thrones, rather than trying to type it in every time and search for it with the text key with the many taps. And not only is it for content discovery, but it also helps control the Roku OS TVs. I can change inputs. I can do things like that with my voice rather than having to rely on button clicking. And so there's really two ways to onboard your content as a publisher onto the Roku platform. Traditional is the SDK route, right? This is building out a custom app, a custom channel based on our language, BrightScript and SceneGraph. highly customizable. You can do anything you want. There's a component library that you can use to kind of seed the channel, so you don't have to rewrite what does a grid look like and what does a navigation look like and things like that. But very, very customizable and bring the experience to you. And a lot of our channels, choose to go this way. You can add in a lot of your own kind of customizable features, and it supports many monetization paths, whether it be advertising, subscription, transactional, or the TV Everywhere login. But about a year ago, it's actually just over a year ago, a program that's called Roku Direct Publisher was launched. And since then, with this, it really minimizes the effort to onboard and create a channel on the Roku platform. Instead of an SDK with a developer that may spend a couple months building out lots of design, things like that, that's necessary, but also, with its advantages on SDK, the Roku Direct Publisher is a more templatized, yet very capable program that allows you, via a web interface and a feed, whether MRSS or JSON, we package and create the channel for you with those things. So you can go in and you can, the background art and your logo, you can address whether you're going to monetize the content, whether it be through your own ad server or let Roku rep your inventory for you. One advantage is that every time this platform gets an update, your channel gets the update, right? It's available for you to take advantage of any new capabilities that are built in, sometimes automatically and sometimes, with a simple republish where I go back in and I say, yes, I want to enable that feature and publish it, and there you go. You've got a channel with an updated set of capabilities. With these, you also get a lot more, through Roku, you get a lot more visibility into your channel performance, the usage of your channel, with install rate, uninstall rate, and then really deep analytics onto the content itself. Every piece of content has analytics. Viewership, hours, rebuffer rate. Quality is a huge issue and of huge importance for a successful channel and for making sure that the users are having a good experience. And so we're going to help you identify if certain pieces of content aren't performing well, maybe they're rebuffering too frequently, then you can go back, that's a flag for you can go back and see what's wrong with that. And then, like I said, this supports a single monetization path, and that's ad monetization. But I think what's important to note is that the growth of ad-supported content is really phenomenal. It's for many users, that's exactly what they're looking for. They may have a subscription or two, but they do expect the number one question that users ask when they come onto, when they buy any device really is, what can I get for free? And so the ad model is something that we find very important, and then we see quite a bit of streaming hours into that as well. So here's an example of what a real Roku developer or direct publisher channel is. This is from one of our partners, is Hearst Media, and they have a few brands, Cosmo L, et cetera. And you see it's a great looking channel, highly functional. We have capabilities for managing short form video, for managing video experience, or movie experience, for episodic content, right? There's a page that helps go from a season or a series to a season to an episode picker, autoplay to the next thing. We have a good ad policy in place, so we help with a really healthy and quality ad experience. So a great way to get on board, and really easy. Literally, the certification process happens within, say, 48 hours. When any update to your channel kind of rolls through automatically, and it's just a great and fast way to onboard onto the platform. We have in 1 year, we had 600 channels created, and we've had some great brands. One of my favorites was the PGA Championship. They kind of wanted to do a quick turn. They weren't able to kind of build out an existing SDK app. They quickly spun up a Roku Direct Publisher channel and had 4 live streams every day for the duration of the PGA Championship, showing different camera angles and different holes and following different players. They followed it up with VOD, highlights, press conferences, all that. and huge spike in viewership for them. And then some other great ones. BuzzFeed is a great short form. Funny or Die is kind of in between, where they've got some great comedy related content, and the likes of Vice that does their kind of in-depth news stories, and The Great Big Story, which is a great documentary. But again, 600, there's a ton of great channels on, and really experiencing kind of the benefits of the Roku Direct Publisher platform. As I mentioned, you get detailed analytics, and so here you can slice and dice things over time frames, understand how content's performing, how the channel's performing, et cetera. And if you need to export it and put it into some other tool, then you can do that too and analyze it from there. So in early September, we launched our own direct publisher channel. It was really our first channel of this like that we launched on the direct publisher platform, and it's called the Roku Channel. It really helps answer that question of, when I buy a Roku, what do I get for free? And this is an advertising-supported channel. It is another way for our publishers. It's another avenue for our publishers for users to discover our publishers' content. Where we have a number of publisher partners that feed content into this, and then we've also licensed a small amount to kind of to round out the experience. So there's some nice titles every month that roll over, and we're constantly working with our partners to onboard new titles to make sure that we've got fresh and relevant content throughout the month. And it's proved to be very popular. Folks love it. And I think the point is that we are continually trying to build out additional discovery mechanisms for our publishers' content on the platform, and this is one of them. One of the things that I failed to mention regarding direct publisher is that all the content in a direct publisher channel is automatically included into the Roku search. With an SDK channel, it's an entirely separate effort to create kind of this other search feed to feed in. And while we've got a few hundred partners in Roku search from the SDK side, all 600 or any, currently 600, but any new publisher that comes onto the direct publisher program is automatically included in search, and so that's a nice benefit to it, and yet another kind of avenue for discovery for the content. I want to shift over a little bit to talk about the ads. As I mentioned, advertising viewership is really growing at a rapid pace. And what's really important is that advertising experience is of the highest quality. So for the publisher, we want to make sure that, and this is what our Roku Ad Framework does for you when you're on the program, when you're on the platform, is targeting. There's a lot of hard to reach audiences out there in the OTT space. Yet our ad framework is very capable of finding that right audience that the advertiser is looking for, and delivering an ad that is relevant to them. We support interactive ads, which can bounce a user into an experience where they might see another video, they might be able to maybe order something, things like that. It's really cool to be able to kind of interact with these ads, and then the user will then fall back into to the content experience. We've got great measurements. You get great analytics out of it. You understand kind of what kind of impressions you're getting, who's delivering, who we're delivering to, what the audience we're hitting, and then and so with that, the kind of that measurement and data management insights all tie together. So it's very clear, very transparent, kind of who you're trying to reach, how we have targeted them, who you actually are reaching, at what volumes, and then obviously revenue at the end of that cycle. What's really important is that an ad experience has to be of quality. People will I would say publishers have a tendency to want to maximize it, and we should maximize it, but it has to be within kind of the bounds of what a user will accept, right? Ads are great to an extent. So what's really important is a few things to kind of think about if you're interested in an ad-supported channel. The first is alignment of volume with the content. I'm sure everybody has experienced this where I'm watching a show. This is on linear TV, this is anywhere. And ad break comes on, and all of a sudden it's like 50 decibels higher ad volume, which is sometimes intentional. It's like, well, they think somebody's going to leave the room, so they want to reach the user and all that. But the reality is that it is so annoying, and people start to bail, right? They will start to bounce out of that thing because they can't every 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever stand this volume shift. And so really important that the ads that, and we have safeguards in place to help normalize that and to make sure that the volume is consistent throughout the viewing experience. Monitoring ads on kids content, we put a lot of effort into making sure that appropriate ads are served during kids content. This is really critical. This is what you can rely on the Roku platform to do, not something that you need to worry about. And then frequency capping is also something that our framework does well, and that is we don't want repeated ads, right? You might have an ad break and you might have an ad pod and it might have 4 ads in it, and man, you do not want that ad to play 4 times over and over and over, right? And I've experienced it and it's terrible. And then the next ad pod comes and the same ad comes back on, right? And so we'll make sure that that frequency capping is handled and really managed so the experience is clean, and also it's, you get a variety of ads, which is important. Also really critical is the size of the ads. We put safeguards in because we have found that sometimes an advertiser will come in and they might have one ginormous bitrate ad. And the last thing you want to do is for somebody that's been streaming content great on an adaptive bitrate, and then some big old MP4 comes in, and then you buffer on an ad. Like the worst thing that you want to do is buffer on the ad, because if you want to give a user an opportunity to bail out, buffer an ad, right? Or have that ad stall out in some way. So we make sure that we have controls in place to make sure that that ad experience is appropriate for the bandwidth for that user. And then also controlling the ad load, right? And by ad load, we mean how often in the programming is an ad or a set of ads going to come up, and then how often, how many ads are going to come up during that ad pod. So there's a mix of kind of capabilities between how one would handle it in their channel and then some of the boundaries that we'll put on. But it's really important not to overdo it. We won't allow an ad pod every 2 minutes, right? That's too much, right? So we're gonna, if an ad call comes in, we're just gonna go ahead and skip that and move on. But something like 5 or 6 or 7 minutes, much more appropriate. Pre-roll, post-roll, things like that, no problem. So when you bring your channel on, there's also some opportunities to promote your channel, right? So we've got kind of out of the box and literally on the box opportunities, right? To have your channel promoted, to be part of it. You see in the lower part as what comes with the Roku device, and then making sure that as part of the activation flow, we have something called the initial channel setup, and you're eligible to have your channel as part of that onboarding experience that users kind of go through, and they're selecting how they want to set up. And when a channel is part of that initial channel setup, generally speaking, users don't really uncheck stuff. They're like, okay, cool, sounds good. My Roku's set up, and I'm off to streaming. There's quite a bit of on-promotion capabilities as well. So all of these, you'll see that ad for billions is over there on the right. So home screen-oriented promotions, things on screensavers also. All of these click in. They might, if the app is already installed, then it will just deep link in, start streaming right off the bat. If it's not installed, we'll go through a really quick install process to make sure that the channel's on, and then jump that user right into the programming. And then off-device promotion, right? We have 15 million users. We have a very active mailing list. We have the opportunity to promote your channel through our communications, our Roku communications with our users, to make sure that they understand what's on the Roku platform, what they might like, and that's a great avenue as well. So wrapping up here, I think and I hope it was clear, it is really quite easy now. Over the last year, we've developed this Roku Roku Direct Publisher platform to onboard content. When you simply have a web configuration and a feed, it is a remarkably easy way to onboard your content and get up and running on the platform. We are really embracing how TV viewing habits are changing, both in the OTT landscape and also the over-the-air landscape, and making sure that we've got a fantastic experience for our users that want to merge those two. And we've got multiple ways of monetizing. You've got subscription and transactional and whatnot on the SDK side, and then on the Roku Direct Publisher side, great ad monetization capabilities to take advantage of really the booming viewership for ad-supported content. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have. Yes?
For Roku Direct Publisher, can you speak more to the ad piece? Where is that something that the content provider could bring in their existing ad relationships? Do you handle that? It seems like you have some pretty stringent requirements for how you want experience. Can you just bring whatever ads you have, like ad relationships you have? How does that work?
Right, so the question is regarding Roku Direct Publisher and our ad capabilities. And so there's two ways, or there's three ways. There's one where you say, I don't want to monetize it. Okay, so that's one option, but usually somebody wants to monetize. When we monetize, there are two paths. One is for Roku to rep the ads 100%, right, with a revenue share. The other is an inventory share model where there's a standard split, and you can use your own ad server. And then we will, I think it's 70% is your share, and then Roku will rep 30%. And then everybody takes 100% of the revenue from that. And so with that, the Roku Ad Framework, regardless of how the ads are served, kind of that ad policy kind of manages the way that the ads work, right? And how frequently they come. And then there's also the safeguards kind of regardless of how they're served. Those are capabilities that we have just to make sure that the user experience is clean, like the volume control and prohibiting like ginormous ads and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Yes, sir?
What is your monthly fee for Roku?
There is no monthly. So the question is, what's the monthly fee for a channel? And there is no monthly fee for the channel. It's strictly on the monetization front. It's a revenue share on the monetization. It's a good deal. Yes, sir.
So if you build your own app outside of the Roku Direct Publisher solution,
Mm-hmm.
is the model the same from a monetization standpoint?
On the SDK front, the question is the model the same for an SDK app versus a Roku Direct Publisher app? From an ad, I don't want to misspeak on that one. I want to make sure that I get you. Let's meet up after so I can follow up with that. I feel like I have the answer, but I don't want to misspeak, so I'll get back to you on that one. Yes.
Do you have any fight sites?
Yeah, and so Roku has 4,500 channels. There's a broad set of content on there. I think there are some niches that are probably underserved. Whether or not fight is one of them, I couldn't speak to that, but I think there's always an opportunity for certain subject matter. I'm sorry? Live fights? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like the PGA Championship, that was all live, 4 live channels on the course every day. Yeah, live is I'm glad you brought that up. Live is really growing on the network, on the platform, both on through SDK and through Roku Direct Publisher. And we're working actually to improve that live experience. Now that we see it really onboarding, we want to make sure that the live experience, which is different than VOD or on demand, is really that we build out our capabilities to make it a really exceptional experience on that front. Yes, there.
I have a few questions. Is Direct Publisher available for TVE with authentication and such?
The question is Roku Direct Publisher available TV? And is not currently. SDK is Direct Publisher, not yet, but it's certainly something that we'd like to support. Did you have another?
I do.
Oh, go for it.
Will you be providing more design freedom around Direct Publisher? Like right now it's sort of one template. What are the plans for either more templates or more flexibility?
Sure. The question is regarding kind of design flexibility around Roku Direct Publisher. I see some. I think a lot of the capabilities are really built in around making sure that the video playback and discovery mechanisms are appropriate for that type of content. And then in terms of the creative license, we make sure that there's the ability to change your background, to change your logo, and some people have really done some nice nice work on that front. I think in terms of if you're asking about other home screen type of creative capabilities, there are some things that are in the works. where kind of how the content is represented, and that's a selector that you can choose. So right now there's kind of 2 home screens, and there should be a 3rd here coming soon. But really what we try to do is make sure that for a type of content we have a really good kind of proven experience around delivering that content and presenting that content. But it will in large part be a templatized experience. Last one, all right.
So your Roku channel, from what I understand, it's a mix of content from current publishers that might have apps or direct publisher apps and content that you license yourself. How does a direct publisher or even an SDK app owner control whether their content can show up in a Roku channel, and is there a rev share there?
Yeah, so in terms of I'll speak to the content, the business stuff. If you're interested, we can, if we can follow up on that piece. But in terms of the content, what happens is a publisher that's already on the platform might be a direct publisher channel, might be an SDK channel, and what we have them do is we have them send in a separate. We can access their direct publisher feed and just pull it in and make it kind of available for curation and things like that. Or they can send in a separate direct publisher feed that maybe it's a subset of their content that comes in. Maybe it's higher quality, higher end titles, things like that. And then we work with our editorial team to pull that in and curate that into the experience. Yet at the same time, all that content that's been made available to direct publisher is also available in search. All right, great. Yes, sir.
Can you geo-block?
Yes, so the direct publisher, you can, as part of the configuration, you can identify which channels, what we call channel stores, countries, the channel can be made available in. And so anybody trying to, for one, let's say it's US only and somebody from the UK tries to access it, the channel won't even show up in the channel store, okay? And then 2, if somehow, which I don't know how, if they do, it will be blocked from viewership because it's not available in that country. Yeah. Yes, sir.
For the direct publisher case, how do you handle the authentication and authorization?
So there's no authentication in this. So it's a free AVOD model. So somebody does not have to register to view the content. Now, if you need to, if you want to authenticate some of your content, then you can do like an AES 128 tokenization that we can talk to and make sure that there's an encryption and decryption from that end. But in terms of kind of registration or that kind of, it's a free AVOD model. Yeah. Yes.
Do you have a plan to support more international languages?
So the question is around supporting more international languages. Yeah, we're really growing. So we're available in 23 countries now, and there is definitely a focus to add into the number of languages. Right, the direct publisher program has been kind of U.S. only for now. Or it's not U.S. only; it's English only at this point. Actually, no, I should not say that. It's a one-to-one relationship, so a user can choose the language in their feed that they want to bring in. And then so we can represent other languages. However, we don't yet have the capability for like in-channel multi-language support.
Do you have to, totally, are you supporting Korean language, Korean?
I'd have to check, I'm not sure.
Obviously, Korean is not supported.
Yeah, I think not. I think that Korean is not currently supported, but I'd have to check to make sure. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, in regards to kind of like the content discovery and universal search, could you talk more about kind of the relationships that you have to have with the channels and search providers, like sharing of metadata and all that stuff in order to kind of get that content discovered?
Sure.
And then also, could you talk about maybe the relationship that exists or could exist or you would like to have exist with like the traditional broadcast pay TV providers?
Gotcha.
Any kind of opportunities there?
Okay, I'm going to tackle the search first, and then I may want you to dive into the traditional TV one a little bit more so I can answer it well. So the question is regarding search and really kind of what's needed to onboard and kind of from a technical standpoint and then maybe from a relationship standpoint. So any publisher has the opportunity to be included in search. Like I said with the SDK, it's a separate effort. So it's another feed that has to be done, and maybe formatted in a specific way to make sure that it gets in and mapped into our search database, right? So we want to make sure that, we have a lot of technology around mapping data, saying, oh, okay, this, we have a core base of data, and we're saying, okay, this show looks like it's this show. Or we're not sure if this show is a duplicate of this one. We may need to dedupe this one and make sure that, we're not confusing the user. So we have a lot of deduplication and matching algorithms to make sure that, because our goal is, we don't want that rogue kind of search result coming off there, because most people are going to go to this other search result that has all the providers in it that offer that language. And if there's this rogue one sitting out there, then users just tend to question, like, why is that one floating out on their own? So we want to make sure that everybody that's representing a piece of content is in search. On the direct publisher side for search, it's automatic. There's no, your relationship is creating a channel, and it is automatically in search. Everything in your feed, even if it's not curated into the app itself, the content will be available through search. So can you restate the question regarding the traditional TV?
Yeah, well, it's just kind of the concept of having a truly universal search, right? And that's one of the things that makes Roku
Yes.
such a strong streaming box. Is
Yes.
It's the best universal search in my opinion.
Yes, thank you.
That being said, now there's still a disconnect in the user experience if they have traditional TV and their streaming services, because if you want to watch something on your Xfinity platform, you still have to go over there and interact with their platform. You can't just stay in your
Right. Yeah. So right now we're making strides. So this is regarding kind of integrating traditional TV or linear TV. I think primarily through a cable provider. Right. So. So there are ways, if the depending on the relationship, if that cable provider then also has an app on the platform, then there may be ways to integrate. This is probably a little beyond where I am. What I do know is that for, like I mentioned, our OTA, when the data is readily available for us through our over-the-air metadata download and search, that's how we create that programming guide or the smart guide, and then also are able to map it with corollary OTT. And so it's we're starting to blend those. I think that would be a logical step, is to also see what we can do to blend in with the cable providers. So we've got OTT, we've got OTA, and then we'll see where we can go from there. But right now it's really powerful. It's like, I was actually surprised. I'm one of those kids, right? I largely grew up on cable. Antennas were a thing of the past. Maybe grandma and grandpa had one, and now they are raging back in popularity because it's HD, it's free, there's actually quite a bit of selection that's available for free over the air, and the millennial generation has discovered this quote unquote new technology and embracing it like crazy, and for good reason. It's great, and now our products are doing the same. Yes, sir.
On the OTA, you said you've got support with EPG for version 8. And you talked about a service provider with built into it, but do you support on your older boxes communication with self-invest network tuners?
So on our older boxes, Roku OS 8 is available on those. They can take that upgrade. But this is actually, so I'm sure what I should say is this EPG is only available on Roku TVs. So Roku TVs powered by the Roku OS, or TVs powered by the Roku OS. There isn't a corollary on the set-top boxes or the sticks at this point. But one of the inputs on a TV is, the user can configure them, but you can say, oh, I've got a cable input, and I've got an antenna input, and I've got my PlayStation or my Xbox or whatnot. And so it'd be one of those, when the antenna is configured, that's where we create that experience for the OTA on the TV. Anything else? Yes? I don't know of any. I'm not sure. That's one that I'm not familiar with, but I could see a use case as OTA grows. So we did, well, for one, as I mentioned, one of our, I think it's with Sky, the newest set-top box there does have a hybrid in it. I do think that there's probably chipset dependencies, more so than probably firmware to kind of do that. So some of the older boxes just may simply not be capable of it because of, is really custom built for that purpose. Anything else? Well, thanks very much. Maybe you can hit the surf and enjoy the rest of the day in beautiful, sunny Southern California. But I appreciate your time, and thanks very much.